Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joe with Busted Knuckle Performance. Today we are installing the Moto Fab 2.5-inch leveling kit for the Ford F-150. That's my dad's truck. It's a 2017 Ford F-150. It's got the 5-liter V8 in it, the Coyote motor. But yeah, we're putting a 2.5-inch leveling kit in the front of it. So far, I got the driver's side done just to see how everything went. I watched a couple videos on YouTube. Some of them are wishy-washy. They really don't, explain it too well. The one that I watched, the guy's like, yeah, after some hard work and sweat, you get it in place. You fight with it quite a bit. I'm going to show you step by step what I actually did to it to get it apart. This is what it's looking like right now. I got the axle out and everything. Just to even get the spacer in the top and put it all together. But first thing that you wanted to do is I busted these bolts loose up top. Got them nice and loose. That way I could just take them out with my fingers. And then I took the tie rod end off. The tie rod end wasn't too bad to get off, actually. I took the bolt out of it and just tapped it with the bolt out here at the end of it, and it just popped right up through. So that wasn't bad at all. The next thing that I actually did was take this bolt out here, and it's right there for the upper control arm. That one was kind of a pain in the butt. So basically I was just prying down on it, up on it, and my dad just tapped it a couple times and it popped loose there. So that wasn't too bad. And then you got to take the entire brake caliper and caliper bracket off of it. And then right here is the wheel sensor, so you take that off after you get the brakes off and everything. So you get the rotor off, and then you can access that after you take the dust shield off. And then you knock the little cap off the beginning there, or off the axle. And then you can take that bolt out and then pull the axle apart. The biggest pain in the butt was actually the sway bar link end. As you can see, there's a pair of vice grips on it. Basically what you're going to do is put an 8mm socket on the top with an impact gun and put an 18mm wrench on it and just hammer it till it comes apart. What happened was once it got up to the top there, it wouldn't just thread right off. So what I had to do is put a little wrench on there and try to wrench it up to the top, and once it got like barely any threads left, it actually twisted the whole end of that. It's really hard to see, I can't really show you, but the whole end of that's actually twisted. So yeah, it was a pain in the butt. I'm actually just going to replace them. They're like $40 or whatever at the local auto parts store. But I had to put a pair of vice grips on there in order to get it off. So, and then just so everybody knows, whenever you install these, it's a real big pain in the ass because the upper control arm doesn't actually move very easily. So you have to pry on it pretty hard in order to do it. So basically, you're gonna get all this shit disconnected off of it completely. So this lower control arm actually flexes a lot. You can hear the noise there, but yeah, so it flexes a lot. So basically I just used a board, the old trusty board technique, wedged it in here off the diff. I didn't want to put anything metal in there because I didn't want to bend it or damage the differential. So I just put it on there and kind of leaned all my weight down, and it pried down enough where I could just pull it out from the top. And then I installed the leveling kit spacer and pried down. It was real fun actually prying it down and try to pry the upper control arm up in order to get it in. So I definitely recommend you have a buddy with you to help you. It'd make it a whole lot easier than what I'm dealing with. But yeah, I can show you the other side there. I'll get this side all together and then I'll actually show you the other side. Basically, you got to take these bolts out here. And once these bolts are out here, you just basically pull them out of the way, put the bolts back in. It's not going to hurt anything for the bolts to be in there. Basically, these are for the brake lines and wheel speed sensor. So basically, that's what those two bolts are there. You just take them out. I already took the upper ball joint bolt out, and I took the tie rod end bolt out. And I'm working on taking the sway bar link end bolt out, so it's already out and ready to go. I have the other side loose just so the sway bar is easier to manipulate and move up and down and out of the way. I started pulling the bolts out of the caliper bracket there, so those bolts are ready to come out. As soon as they come out, I can swing the entire caliper out of the way. Swing it out of the way, and I'll just bungee strap it up there and then try to separate the ball joints. I still have to break all these loose. That's the next thing I'm going to do, is bust these loose. And then the bottom of the shock, this is there and there, those two bolts come out too. And then I gotta pull all this apart, take this little cap off, and there's the axle nut in there. It's really small. Basically just holds it into place. I mean to keep stopping recording, but it's hard to record and work on a vehicle by yourself. But anyway, this is what I did now. I just kind of bungee strapped it out of the way and then zip tied it, so it's pretty secure there. It's not going anywhere. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knock this rotor off of here. The reason I'm doing that is so I can get in back to remove the dust cover and the wheel speed sensor. There's a little Allen head that holds it in place, so I'll take that out and then get that out of the way. Even though it's a pretty relatively new truck, it does have a bunch of rust in there, so I'm going to actually put some anti-seize on there whenever I'm done with this. But now you can see I'm just going to remove these bolts here and take this dust cover off. If you guys don't have an electric ratchet, these things are lifesavers. This one's S-Long. My girlfriend got it for me for my birthday, but it's a lifesaver. This thing's awesome. Basically, just crank it, takes the bolt right out. I use it for everything. It does like 40 foot-pounds of torque whenever it's fully charged. Tightening. I'm not sure what it is loosening, but I just bust them loose and away we go. Take all the bolts out. Just watch the sensor there. That comes right off. See, this is what I mean. This is a pretty new truck and there's rust all through back here. It's probably hard to tell, but yeah, rust and crud just sits back in here. So there's the Allen head right there. And then I will just put it in there. Give her a quick little turn. Once that bolt's out, it basically just pops up out. I'm going to wipe this back off and put new grease in it when I go to reinstall it. Just take these bolts off. It says about using a wrench, but you can get to them with a ratchet there. I guess they're just worried about hitting the plastic inner fender. So basically the ball joint, I just kind of smacked it onto the side and it just popped right up out. The upper ball joint, I just used my pry bar, stuck it in there, wedged up on it, and gave it a tap right there on the side a little bit. You can see the little ding I put in there right there. I just smacked it twice and it popped right up out. I'll just take these bolts out here with my impact. I have a DeWalt Impact. This was one of the best tools I ever purchased. This thing is a beast. Now that I got these bolts out here, basically I just got to take the cap off and pull the axle nut, and then get everything pushed down and pulled out of the way so I can lift the top out. So basically I'm just going to kind of wedge this in there, give it a tap or two on the back, and pry up. Should pop the cap right out. So I pried that cap out. I bitched it up a little bit, but that's okay. I can pop that back out real quick. Little pair of pliers, there's not much to it. And then right there is the nut. That's the axle nut for these. They're really tiny. There's the axle out a little bit. You guys can see it just kind of wobbles pretty good in and out. So can't record this because it's going to require two hands. But yeah, just push down and top should come out first and then the bottom. I'm not lying to you. I just did that by myself. I just pushed down. I kind of put my chest on this piece here. Leaned on it, lifted that up a little bit, and the top falls out. And then while you're leaning on it, you can just kind of wiggle it out as long as you lift that up out of the way. And there it is, laying on the ground. The kit I'm using is a MotoFab. It came with hardware. I already did the other side, so that's why you're seeing Only this side's hardware. But this product is made in America, that's why I bought it. American pride. If I can, I always try to buy American products. But there's what it is. Basically, this piece here only goes on one way. I can show you that because when I first got it, I was like, great, this one doesn't fit the truck that I'm doing, because it's kind of bland. It said like from 2015 to 2020, which this one's a 17. You can see some rust already starting in there. But yeah, on this kit it only goes on one way, so I'll try to show you here. So like if I get that stud, oh look, first try. That's fucking funny. But anyway, just to give you an idea, see, it doesn't line up. That one's in, that one's nowhere close, that one's nowhere close. If you look on the side, now these two are in here and this one's way off. See, it's over here and the hole's way over here. So they only go on one way. And the other thing is too, is once you get them on, you actually have to put once you get this on, basically you have to put the strut in backwards, because what it does is it actually changes the bolt pattern. So once you put it in backwards, it still fits and everything. The only thing you got to do is tweak that bottom so the bolts are facing the right way. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but I just put a nut on one side of it and then put it in the vise and then just kind of use the leverage and spun it. I can show you that part then. So basically you put these Allen heads down in there. I use a bunch of Loctite on them. That way they don't spin out or anything when I'm trying to put the nut back on it that goes up through the strut. And then basically this sits down in there and you bolt this into the strut. They come with nylon locking nuts. Right there they are. So you don't have to worry about them backing out. But you want to get them pretty snug once you get this on there. Basically to show you this part here, I just put a nut on the back here. And what I'm going to do is just put it like that. That piece is wedged in there, and then you see it's at an angle. See the end piece? It's actually at an angle. So what we're going to do is pull it. See, it popped over. So now those bolts will be facing the correct way. And there's the kit installed. The spacer's on. And that's what she looks like. Now it's time to reinstall it. Basically, you just kind of do it in the same pattern. Get the bottom in first and then put the top in. But to do that, you're going to have to pry down and pry up as you wiggle it in, because the upper control arm's in the way, and the bottom one you got to push down pretty far to get it out of your way. Alright, so I got it in there. See, basically I just stuck a board in there, nailed on the board, pushed it up out of the way with my hands, and then finagled it in there. I got it in there, but up top it's hard to see, but it's a pain in the butt to actually line these holes up to get the strut up through. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a pry bar, just kind of finagle it where it needs to go so the holes line up. So basically all I did was pry right there a little bit, and the holes lined up, and with enough spring tension on the bottom there, it just kind of pushes them right up through to where they need to go. So now I can put the nuts on it and start putting it all back together then. Alright, so I started getting some stuff together here. Basically I just put a little more grease on that, cleaned it up a little bit, put it in there and tightened it up. Got the axle nut in and tight. Put the ball joint on, tightened it up. I'm still going to have to snug it when I'm done. Same thing with the tie rod end. That way it holds everything in place. I started the bolts up here, just kind of threaded them on there so they're on there. Same with the ones down bottom. So everything needs tightened up yet, but you can see it's going together. It's not that difficult. It's just a little time consuming. And I'll show you the end results then. That's what it looks like with everything back on. Basically all I have to do at this point is jack it up, put the tire on, and drop it down, let it settle, take it for a ride, and then step back and see how it looks. Alright guys, I took it for a little ride and this is what we ended up with. Got some nice gap between the wheel and the fenders. I think it's time for new tires. I'm gonna have to harass the old man to get some new tires. Thanks for watching Busted Knuckle Performance. Stay tuned. Hopefully we have some more videos coming out here soon. Thanks.